Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to adjust normal text and how to adjust some sloppy text. You can see this one's got specs outside of the normal text lines and stuff like that. I will show you how to adjust both. Okay, so I don't know how much you guys know about Gimp, but just to give you guys a rundown, this is your tool selection panel. If your tool has a little arrow in the bottom right hand corner, you can right click it and it will bring you other options in that selection set. So if I were to click the scissors, it would give me free select scissors or foreground select. If I were to click this little wand here, it's the fuzzy select tool, or I could have select by color. These are the two we will be using the most in this tutorial. I also have crop. I also have a flip, but flip, if you right click it, you can do rotate, you can scale it, you can shear it, you can flip it, perspective, 3D transform, handle transform. Perspective I like that one's fun to mess with. That one's kind of interesting. You can have the bucket fill, or you can fill it with a gradient. The gradient tool is pretty nice. You can make it a linear gradient, you can make it a radius to where it'll kind of fade out from the center of a circle. Ignore my neighbors that are always honking. And then this pencil, you could get the paintbrush, the pencil, the airbrush, ink, my paintbrush, and you can adjust the settings individually for any of those brushes. Then the eraser tool obviously just erases. Perspective clone tool, we won't get into that in this. The blur sharpen tool, we won't really get into any of these, but the text tool, or the fuzzy select and the select by color. Anyways, that being said, I'll turn off the sloppy layer right now. We'll just mess with the adjust the text layer and the background right now. Okay, so as you can see, the adjust the text layer has a square around it, right? But that's because it still is a text layer. If I click in it with the text tool, I can still edit it. Okay. Now, if I were to go to this text layer, I would right click it. I would go layer to image size, and now I can't text edit it because I've edited it beyond what the capabilities of the text, which is kind of what I wanted to do. So just make sure your text is right before you get to this step. Make sure the spelling is right and all of that, or you're going to hate yourself later for all the stuff you have to redo. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad to redo it. It can become a pain in the butt if you just mess it up when you got it looking just how you like it. You like the way it looks, and you just realize that you added a letter that you shouldn't have, or there's a letter missing that should be there. It's not really discouraging, it's just a pain in the butt, So, and there is no spell check on this, just to be warned. So keep that in mind, there is no spell check. That being said though, I will go back over here to my fuzzy select tool, and now that the image is, or the layer is the image size, as we did, now it's, when I do the fuzzy select tool on the outside of the text, it's not gonna give me that border that it normally would have if I were to just left it as the text layer. So as you can see now, well, you might not be able to, the lines are pretty fine, but on this border of the letters you might be able to see this fine little selection line, but it's surrounding all the letters. The only places it's not is inside of the A there, inside of the D, or the two E's over here. So for example, right now, if I were to hit delete, then it would delete everything but the A, everything but the little A, the little hole in the D, the little hole in the E, over there. So you might ask, how can we fix that? Well, we're going to go back to adjust this layer. We're going to make sure everything's selected that we want it selected, but to get this, we're going to hold shift and click all the little open areas, or all the areas that still have white that we don't want to have white, because these ones were closed off. There's no way that fuzzy select tool could get in there to get it, so we got to select that manually. So we'll hold shift still, and we will select all these areas. Oops. And then I can hit delete. Oops, wrong button. I must have messed up on my E. On that E right there. Yeah, I didn't select those E's right. So now if I were to go back here and hit delete, then it would get rid of those holes. So you just got to make sure it is selected right. Now as you can see, when I hit delete, it deleted everything but the layers, okay? Or everything but the letters, not layers. So I'll just go ahead and do that again really fast. Just remember to hold shift while you select these extra areas, otherwise you will get rid of your whole selection. So I'll get rid of that. I will hit delete on this new layer, and it's just the text that gets deleted, or it's everything but the text that gets deleted. I will undo that though, and I will hit Control I at the same time, you know, both of them, and then I will hit delete again, and it just deletes the text. So that's how you can adjust that. That's how you can mess with that one. And you might not find it helpful. You might find it helpful. I've found it very helpful in my just doing what I do. But if you don't, it's whatever. Okay. Another way to do it is once you get this all selected, and you can get it selected multiple ways. I'm going to show you the next one in a minute, which might be easier for you, might not, but this you're going to want to do it this way when there's more than one color. I'll show you why in a minute. But so you have everything selected, you have it all ready to be edited. We will right click the canvas, and we will select, and we will go to grow. And then if we chose 10, it grew, the selection grew by 10 pixels. Okay, so if you were to count, probably from there to there would be like 10 pixels. From here to there would be about 10 pixels. Looks like I didn't select the A though, or the A. Yeah, it looks like the A and the E's were just greater than 10 pixels. So I will undo that. I will select again, and we'll go grow, not quite by 10 this time, we'll go 6. Yeah, and see, now it's still within the E, it's still within the A, the D. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, sometimes they will touch, sometimes they won't. It's just kind of handy. But basically, once you do that, now you can do what you're looking to do. So you can create a new layer that is transparency. You can take your paintbrush here and then just paint over it, and you have your now thicker letters. It might not look the cleanest as far as like pixelization, but once you turn it into an SVG through Gimp, or not Gimp, through Inkscape, it should clean up your letters, and it should clean up your lines quite a bit. Because I know it always seems to do it for me. It's just once you get really complicated lines and really technical lines, it might not look as crisp as you'd like. But you know, I'm still fine-tuning my processes, and we'll see. But so if I were to adjust this other layer on top of it, you will see now there's about a 6 pixel difference between the black now and the white. You'll see there's about 6 pixels of green in there. So yeah, that's how you kind of thicken up your layers that way. And it's going to be the same process with the other way. But now I will do the select by color tool, and this one's going to be easier when it's monocolor. I will go back to the adjust the text layer, and I will select just one letter. Just make sure you click the color that you're looking to select. So I just selected the black, and it will select everything on that layer. I'll go back to this layer down here. I will turn that off, and then if I select this one, I hit delete, same thing. I'll undo that, I'll hit Control I, and it will delete everything else. That one, it is a lot easier than the first one I told you, but you'll understand in a second how they both have their uses. This one was by far easier for like single color text and stuff like that, easier to adjust it, and that's basically how to make your text thicker, is just by having it selected, just going to the select and either shrink or grow depending on which side you have selected, whether it's the text side or the not text side. You can always just Control I and invert the selection. It's really not hard. It's kind of fun, and it will give you tips. But just remember, select, shrink, and grow. And feather, well, blur the selection border so that it fades out smoothly. You can sharpen it. You can remove holes, which I've never really tried the remove holes or the distort, but never really had a need to. I guess if you want to play with it, go ahead. An undo is just a Control Z away. So there's that. But that's how you would thicken the letters. And then I will show you the next one. So we go to this one, and yeah, it's pretty fuzzy. It's a very low quality image, but that's not the point of why I wanted it to show you. So if I were to use that select by color tool on this one, well, it actually did select everything. Alright, it's not going to do that all the time. It really just highly depends on your threshold. So if I go there, now, yeah, see, it didn't select some of the yellows once I lowered my threshold. I'm actually surprised it even did it as well as it did. But, so I'll click the green again, yeah, and you can get anywhere from perfect results like I did immediately to where it kind of selected everything. There's still, yeah, there's really no colors it's missing on this. But at the same time, I want to show you the way I intended to show you. So right now, technically, I could add alpha channel, and then if I hit delete, it will delete all the actual image, and it will leave the white, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, so it deleted the actual image and left the white. If I were to undo that, and I were to invert it, I could delete it, and it would do that. But you could see there's still a lot of, it's kind of choppy, it's kind of grayish, so I'll undo that, and then I will go to the fuzzy select tool, and this would be a lot of work, but if it's, you can mess with your threshold, and you can get it to select however you'd like. Some pictures are going to be easy, some pictures are going to be more difficult. I did choose a more difficult picture, but I did it just to show that you select the outline of your image, and then you would go through and you would look for circles like this that aren't really selected. These ones all happen to be, this one's not, so I'll select that, shift and hold it, and that way it will add that little bit to your selection there. Now you can do a couple things. If you wanted it single color, oops. So I did it on the outside just then. If you wanted to just do the actual colors, then you would hit Control I, which I did, and then you can paint into the selection if you're just trying to get it single color. Then I'll hit select none, and then now it is no longer colorful, it's just monocolor. I guess that one wasn't as helpful as I intended it to be, but hopefully you pick something up out of it. Just remember that fuzzy select will select, the color acts as a border, but if you mess with your threshold there, then that border changes as well. The select by color, it does exactly that, it selects by color. But, oh, that's the one we did, alright. Yeah, this isn't the first video I made. I just didn't like the way the first one turned out. I didn't like the way I was talking in it. So, and this one will kind of be the same thing. If you're trying to do the sloppy one, I'll show you how to mess with that one. So you could do the fuzzy select tool. I'm just going to make sure that that it is to the size of the image. See how that yellow line went away? Alright, yeah, so if I'm on, I don't know why I got that selected, but so if I'm on the sloppy text layer, those yellow lines are the layer border. So if I were to go layer to image size, that puts the border of the layer out there, and when I do the select, it's not going to select relatively close to the letters. Problem with that being is if the border is too close to the letters, say it's closer than 10 pixels, but you want to grow your layer by, or you want to grow your letters by 10 pixels, then it will get cut off at the border, and you will have kind of square letters. Looks like somebody took a slice off it with a knife. But that being said, if I go here with my, or on this sloppy one, and I do the fuzzy select tool, it will select all of that. Now I want to hit shift or hold shift and select all of these little closed off sections. If I wanted to be really picky, I could select, whoops, all of these little circles. And remember, shift adds spots to your selection, and control takes away spots to your selection. So sometimes you'll see me click on, whoops. Yeah, sometimes you'll see me click on something it doesn't look like I should have. I'm probably just trying to remove something I accidentally added. So like that one's a little too small without zooming in really far, or I'd have to mess with my threshold to get that proper one. But I'm adding these. Now I'm just checking something really fast. If I were to right click and I were to select remove holes, what would happen? And it really just looks like it got rid of my whole selection, so we won't do that. But you could also do it with this, and say you like the font but you don't like all the little holes in it, then you could just select the outside, you know, select your O, your P, and your little P, and if I try to draw right now, it's going to draw on the outside. Okay, so I'll undo that and I will invert it, and then now I will have that. But you can see it got rid of the little circles because I just had the outline of the letters selected. I could hit undo, go back to my select, and I could just remove that those two dots, those dots, that one, and that looks like about it. So I could do those, or I could add them back, and I will only do this on one letter just for the sake of speed. So yeah, now when I go to paint, so I must have accidentally selected the wrong area. Alright, so yeah, I don't exactly know what was going on there. I think my threshold might have been needed to be edited, but so I'll only select just one or two circles on this one to show you guys what I was trying to. But so right now, the way I got it set up, I will do the outside of the letters and a couple of those little circles. But if I were to invert that, then I would just do all of the letters, and on this one I would leave a couple circles. So I mean, it really just depends, and you can see how there's a little bit of a black border towards the end. If you really wanted to get rid of that, personally I would just select grow it by like 1 pixel, and then just paint that color away. You could do 2 pixels if you want to ensure it's gone, but that's another way to do it. I will select grow again, do about 10 pixels, create a new layer, transparency, put it below that one, and I will change the color to black. And then just paint around the border, and immediately it looks 100 times better. But if I were to keep all those little holes, then it would kind of look good. And you can just edit it however you want. You know, there's so many ways you can do it. There's really not a right way. It's just whichever way looks best for what you're trying to do. But that is how I would grow the letters, or make the letters thicker. It's just, I would select all the areas you're looking to select, and I would just grow it or shrink it, whichever. But yeah, that fuzzy select tool and the select by color tool are probably the best friends, or my best friends. Like, those ones just do amazing work. 20 minutes, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry if you watched the whole video. But yeah, any other questions, just let me know.